Hi folks, Rick here. Just a little bit of an update on my ongoing recovery from my surgery. So this is Rick's journey from pain to TLIF surgery, and it is part 7. I am coming along very well. Today is day 14 after my surgery. My surgery was back in March 27th, and I'm 14 days now after surgery, so 2 full weeks, and I'm doing actually quite well. Pain level from before surgery was dreadful. It was chronic pain going on since 2016, 2017, getting progressively better and then worse and better than worse. It's been a real battle of going around in circles in that struggle with pain, that continuous pain. But since surgery, with the release of the pressure from the ruptured disc that was pressing onto my nerve roots, especially the L5 nerve root in my back, it has been an amazing change. Really, it has. I no longer have that deep pain in my lower back going down to my glutes, into your butt area, then down the legs. I used to have pain all the way, especially in my right leg down to my ankle, and my left leg, my calf would be so painful I could barely touch it. So that seems to have resolved itself. When I met with the neurosurgeon after surgery, he explained to me that the space left with the collapsed disc was so tiny, it was the size of a little green pea. So if you can think of a baby green pea that you eat for supper, that's how big the space was left for my nerve to pass through there. And those nerves are pretty big. When you're talking about your spinal column and the your spinal canal that goes down through the column, and then of course the sciatic nerves that break off and go down each leg, they're quite thick. They're like big, thick hydro wires, so the size of your finger. So if you want to squeeze the size of your finger down to the size of a pea, that's how compressed my nerve was in my lower back. So what's happened is he's enlarged that space by putting a cage in instead of the disc, and he lifted my spine back up to the right height. So now the space where that nerve can run through is the size of a toonie. So the size of a pea to the size of a toonie is quite amazing. And so that's why the nerve is no longer compressed, and I'm feeling so much better. I have so much pain relief, after having had my surgery. Am I still in pain? Yes, a tiny bit. I'm still in a little bit of pain, but where my pain comes from is the surgical site. Of course, to be able to operate on my spine, they had to cut open my back and remove that disc and put in the hardware to hold me, to bring me back together. So that's where my pain is currently. It's at a very, very low level. I wouldn't even call it a level 1. On the scale of 1 to 10, I'd call it a level 0.5. It only flares up slightly if I'm moving around a lot or if I do something for too long. Of course, I have to keep my post-op instructions of no bending, no twisting, no lifting. I'm being very careful with all of that, getting along just fine. But basically, as long as I be careful with those and I don't go beyond my current range, I'm fine with pain. The only pain I have is getting up and getting down from a chair. However, it doesn't stay with me. Once I'm down sitting, I'm fine. Once I get up, I'm fine. And the other part of pain is rolling over in bed. Rolling over in bed can cause you a little bit of discomfort, but you know what? Compared to what I had in the past, before my surgery, to what I have now, I'll take this little pain any day. Believe me, anyone out there in pain that knows what it's all about, knows what I'm talking about. I will take any relief, I will take any reduction in pain, and this is absolutely amazing. So I'm very happy that my pain level is so low. I'm very thankful for everything that I've been through and the wonderful staff and doctors at the hospital that have helped me get to where I am today. So I want to bring you this update. Anyhow, today I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. It's going to be a bit longer video. I want to give you my update on how I'm feeling, of course, which is this part right now. Coming up next, tomorrow is staple removal day. After 14 days after surgery, you should have your staples removed. I've been stapled together in my back, and now it's time to remove the staples because my suture, my scar, is healing very well. There's no sign of redness, no infection, no swelling, no drainage, which is all very good. I may put in a picture of my scar in this post. I'm not sure. If you're squeamish, look away. If you're not, have a good look. It'll show you what it looks like. It's really not that invasive. It's quite okay. Mine is healing very well. I have no swelling, no pain in that area, except when I'm moving around, of course, because I have new hardware in there. But apart from that, it's going really well. So I'm going to talk about staple removing. That's coming up tomorrow. I'm going to see the doctor to have my staples removed. and then it'll be just a Band-Aid, which will kind of hold my skin together, but it's healing very well. So then the next step is, so once the staples are out, to let the scar fully heal, and of course then my bone marrow in my bones will need to start forming together. My back now currently feels like it has a broken bone, and it's going to start sending bone signals or bone connections through to the two vertebrae so that they'll fuse, merge once together. That takes several months. Just like when you break your arm, you're in a cast for a long time or what have you. So same thing with my back, although no cast. I just have to keep myself stable with no bending, no twisting, no lifting, so that my back can fuse together. The two bones will come together and fuse solid into one bone. And that'll take 6 months to a year. So it's all going well. Anyway, I'm going to talk about staples. I'm going to talk about how I'm doing, and also then I want to go through pre-surgery things that you have to consider. You are not automatically approved for spinal surgery. It can be risky. There are risks, of course. We'll talk about those in another video, but it is definitely an option at the very end of the road. So you have to go through all conservative, non-operable options first, and I'll discuss those shortly. I want to share with you today what I've been through over the last several years, so that you know about my journey, and perhaps it can match with your journey if you're in pain, and something that you consider. Maybe something you haven't tried will work for you. So I'll share that shortly. Okay, hang in there. Be back soon. Hi again, Rick here. Again, I just want to now continue with how things are going, and it's the day before staple removal, and I want to let you know, as you're healing, and I'm healing very well, I don't have any swelling, so the swelling from the surgery is gone. And when that happens, swelling is in your body to help make your body more puffed up, so that you don't feel pain as much. That's why we swell when we're hurt, so that your body stops you from moving around and not having so much pain. So my swelling is pretty much gone, and now I can feel the hardware. It's strange. I have hardware in my back. I have 2 cages filled with bone marrow. I have screws in the top portion of my vertebrae, and screws in the bottom portion of my vertebrae, the S1 and L5 bones, and 2 rods that hold that together. I've shared an x-ray previously that you could take a look at about the hardware that I now have in my back. So it's actually, it's not painful, but it's very strange. Now I feel snaps and crackles and pops in my back. When I move slightly a little bit beyond range, I'm not supposed to twist, but if I twist a little or if I bend a little, I can now feel the cage moving, and it's not a bad feeling. It's just strange. Actually, what it feels like is, have you ever cracked your knuckles? You know, you put your fingers up like this? That's what it feels like inside. It feels like you're cracking your knuckles. So my bones are adjusting to having the new hardware screwed to it and holding it all together. And that's perfectly normal. The only thing I've been reading about is if you have those snap, crackle, pops and pain, then you should see your doctor. If you're having those with no pain, it's normal. It's very normal. They didn't tell me that was normal, so I was a little worried at first. I said, uh-oh, am I snapping out the bolts out of my back? But no, I was not. It's perfectly normal to feel those little crunchies and crunches. So I'm calling myself like the snap, crackle, pop cereal, because I really do. Every time I move a little bit, I feel that little motion in my back of those rods and those cages inside my spine adjusting to being in there. Eventually they'll all merge into one piece, so I won't feel it anymore. But that's basically what I'm feeling. It's quite normal, quite normal. Again, if you have pain with those feelings, then you should see your doctor. But if you're not having pain, perfectly normal. Don't worry about it. So as I mentioned earlier, tomorrow is staple removal day. And when I was discharged from the hospital, you have to go see your family doctor. You don't go back to the hospital. You have to see your family doctor to have your staples removed. My family doctor is away in sabbatical, so I'm going to a clinic tomorrow. I booked myself an appointment with a clinic, and a very qualified doctor will be removing my staples. When you leave the hospital, they give you a little staple remover. It's all sterile in this little sterilized package. So that's what it looks like. It's basically like you would take staples out of paper, but this is for removing the staples out of my skin. I'm assuming they go fairly deep, but I'm not sure. They hook the skin to hold it all together. There's a little gauze in here and a little machine with little tiny clippers at the front that is to grab and, I assume, pull out the staples. So when I'm done with this, I'm not allowed to keep it. I have to make sure that it's sent back to the hospital. It's property of the hospital. That's fine. Once my staples are out, I won't need it again. And of course, over that, they provided me with some sterile gauze, big long patches. My scar is about that long, so that's basically what I'm going to be keeping over my back until it's fully healed and it's just a normal scar. So this is the package, and it's like a big bandage. You open up the sterile package and you pull it apart, and you put it slowly onto your back. Of course, when you're dealing with an open incision into your body, you always want to clean hands. Make sure you clean your hands. Wash with soap and water. Sing happy birthday. Make sure your hands are very clean. You do not want to get an infection, especially an infection in your spine. Your spine is your spinal column, and it's very important. So wash your hands before you touch anything close to your spine. Speaking of that, I have been able to now shower regularly. It's great. It's great being fresh and clean. I'm not allowed to scrub my scar because it still has the staples in, but eventually it'll be healed and I'll be able to scrub and wash properly there. But I do let soapy, warm water run down my scar, and I can wash perfectly normally now in the shower. I've been taking showers. It feels great to be fresh and clean, wash my hair, brush my teeth, all of that. And with my tools that I showed in earlier videos, you can go back to my earlier videos, my earlier parts, part 1 and 2, I believe, you'll see that I'm perfectly safe in the shower. I've installed a handrail bar to hold myself so I can lift up my foot on one foot so I can wash my other foot without bending my back. I have a long pole with a washcloth on the bottom to wash my legs because I can't bend or twist, but it's working all really well. I'm just amazed at how well I'm doing. On that, I am doing really well, but up next, I want to go through with you. It'll be long a little bit, but it'll be for anyone who's on this journey or starting this journey with back pain, and some things you can consider. I've tried everything and I finally got to the surgery point, but you know, a surgeon will not operate on you until you've at least tried everything once and you fail those conservative or those non-operative methods. So I'm going to go through this shortly. Hang in there. I'll be right back. Bye-bye. Hey again. So I'm going to go right back to the very beginning when I started to experience some back pain. What I've created for my doctors over the years is a list, and you might want to think about keeping a diary of your back pain journey because it makes it very easy when you need to go back and remember something. We're all human. We all start to forget details. So I've marked everything down over the years and kept a log of my back injury and what's going on and what treatments I've had so that it's easily remembered. I have it in my list. So it's a type list that I've kept since I've been having back pain. Very important tool. So basically, pardon me, I'm going to be reading from time to time or looking at my list to be able to speak to you about it. But way back before December 16, I had 3 or 4 pretty severe occurrences of back pain in the 90s and the 2000s. Back in those days, I used to do something called upholstery, where I would recover heavy furniture with new fabric. I'd go to Montreal and buy fabric, and I would bring it back to my home in Ottawa, and I would recover couches and chairs and sofa pieces and so on. And those are heavy, and I used to lift them on my own because I was young and healthy and could lift and move anything that I wanted. I felt like, strong as I could be. It was not a problem until one day, I had to turn the couch over onto its back so that I could start tearing off the old fabric from the underneath side of the couch. And basically, I felt a quick zing down my back. It was enough to actually make me lay flat on the floor, and I didn't know what was going on. It was the first time I've really ever had something like that. And I stayed there for a while. I thought I just pulled a muscle. After about 20 minutes or so, I got up off the floor, stretched myself, and I ended up being okay. So that was perfectly fine. I was young and healthy. I said, I just pulled a muscle, not a big deal. But actually, what I was doing was damaging my disc a little bit at a time, not realizing that I was. I didn't know how to lift properly. I didn't know how to use my legs and arms to help me lift. I used to use my back for lifting. Very poor thing to do. Always when you're lifting, use your legs, bend down first. Do not bend with your back. Do not lift with your back. Lift with your legs. Lift with your legs and your arms. That's why we have those appendages to help us. The next time I was, back in the day, computers weren't little laptops or little iPads or tablets that we have today. They're actually big, heavy boxes of a monitor and a CPU unit and a keyboard and a mouse. Pretty heavy, big box. So I was at the Rideau Centre, a shopping centre in Ottawa, Ontario, and I bought myself a brand new computer. I needed one for at home, and I was very thrilled with my new computer. And I was walking out of the computer store, and a friend of mine called out to me and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I, holding this heavy box, very stupid of me, twist it around to see this friend and wave. So I'm holding this heavy box with one arm, waving with the other hand, trying not to drop my brand new computer. And my back went crunch and snap, and I had severe pain again. I had to put down the box and actually sit down the bench in the mall for quite a while. Again, I said, "Oh, stupid me, I've just strained something. It's a pulled muscle, oh, I'll be fine, it's just tendon or something going on." I'm never thinking that is actually damaging my spine, but I was slowly doing that. So that was another episode that I had prior to my main injury in 2016. So hang in there, I'll come back with the next part in just a second. Hey there. So I gave you two examples of what I was doing, and shortly after that I discovered that I have something, and most people do, believe it or not. I'd say 95 or more percent of the people out there have something called DDD, or degenerative disc disease. Now, all that means is we're getting older. As you age, your discs dry out, they wear out, they start to break down. So everybody, as we age, will have DDD, or degenerative disc disease. It's just part of the normal human aging process. So it's not a special disease. However, if you put hard wear and tear on your spine over the years, it makes it worse. And that's what happened in my case. I was putting a lot of wear and tear on my spine, lifting incorrectly for years. And so damage started to happen. I was getting cracks in my discs. The discs started bulging more and more. I was getting more pain because those disc bulges start pressing into your nerves. And then, of course, if they rupture, that's when you're really in trouble, because once that jelly starts leaking out into your nerve roots, it's pretty painful. So my major crisis happened in 2016, 2017. I was shoveling heavy wet snow up in Ottawa, Ontario. We get a lot of snow in Ottawa, and it was the heavy wet cement stuff. And silly me, I was shoveling with my shovel properly, I thought, and I just wanted to get the job done. So I lifted a heavy shovel of snow, but I twisted with it to throw it up into the snowbank. Something normal, right? We think it's all normal, but no, it was not. So that is the day I actually ruptured one of my discs. And that was pain. I mentioned this before in one of my previous videos, but that was so painful. I managed to finish shoveling the laneway. I shouldn't have. I should have went in and called the hospital, but I didn't. So I ended up in the hospital after that injury, and I was there for 2.5, 3 weeks, nearly a month in the hospital, and then a little bit of respite care after that, in severe pain because I had a ruptured disc in my lower back. Actually, and that is the same disc that they recently removed in my surgery because it was collapsing. It was like a flat pancake. There was practically nothing left to it. So they removed the majority of my disc and now put cages inside so that I'll have a fusion. Anyway, so that was the next big episode. And then, of course, I started the treatments. Those are coming up very soon. Hang in. My video will continue shortly. Hi there. So the first few things I did, of course, I was in the hospital. I consulted my family doctor, and what they recommend, first off, is some pain medication, over-the-counter stuff, Advil, Tylenol, all the normal ones that you would take. Those weren't working, so they gave me heavier duty stuff in the hospital, something called hydromorphine. I was also on Celebrex and a few of those other things over the years. So I don't remember them all. I do have a list, but I don't want to read off a whole list of medications. But they put me on some heavy duty meds, and basically they said, okay, first things first is you're currently in acute pain. You need to get to a normal pain level. Things will improve. Usually bulging discs do improve, even ruptured discs do improve, and you typically don't need to have surgery right away. You need to strengthen your core. I said, what? I have a core? What kind of a core? I don't know what you're talking about. Basically, it's the internal muscles around your spine that can weaken over time, especially if you've never exercised them. So I'd never heard of core exercises, and they recommended physiotherapy, pain meds, and rest. And that's what I did for the first while, and it was working. I started developing my internal core muscles. There are several great exercises out there. Just Google, you'll find them. They're great. Strengthen your core. If you can do anything every morning, is do 10 minutes of core exercises. It'll make a big change in how much pain you feel. If you strengthen the muscles around your spine, your muscles can hold you more together when the spine is especially damaged. Also, pain meds help, but it's a slippery slope with pain meds. You don't want to go too far on pain meds because a lot of especially the opioids like the hydromorphine that I've been on for years, is really bad. You cannot just keep increasing it because eventually it won't work, and then you'll want to take more and more, and that's a slippery slope because you get addicted and they can kill you. So I've always been cautious about not taking too much hydromorphine. I've had to increase it over the years, but luckily now, since my surgery, I am completely off pain meds. I'm not taking any pain meds, not even Tylenol. I have not had pain meds now in 4 days. Including the hydromorphine. I've stopped taking it because I figured why take pain meds when I'm not in severe pain, and I'm doing just fine without them. I went through a little bit of a withdrawal period because when you withdraw from taking an opioid, you feel a little bit weird. I was dizzy, headachy, couldn't sleep, anxious a bit, but those are all normal. A little bit of diarrhea, upset stomach, but those are all normal when you're coming off heavy-duty drugs. Same thing happens if you're drinking too much and you start weaning yourself off alcohol, you feel the same thing. It's withdrawal from smoking, from drinking, from drugs. So I'm quite happy now that I'm over the withdrawal of those opioids, and I plan to never take them again. Hopefully never will have severe pain again. So anyway, hang in there. I'm going to be talking more in just a minute. Hey again. So by January and then of course February in 2017, I was starting to get a little bit better, but I pushed myself too hard and I went back to work. I only went back to work for a few days, and guess what? Things went upside down. It really turned around. It was so bad. I ended up going back to the hospital. I had to have an MRI, and that's when they confirmed that indeed I had ruptured the disc and that it was severely compressing my L5 nerve root, and that's why I had all that severe pain. So from there, they decided to do the MRI and put me off work for a little while. That was really great that I had the sick leave. I was very fortunate to be able to do that. And finally, they sent me to a fella up in Ottawa. He's a pain specialist, and I had a cortisone shot. Cortisone is something that you could try. It's something they recommend. It's one of those methods, non-surgical methods I was talking about, where they inject your spine. They inject the spine where the damage is with cortisone. What cortisone does is it floods the area with something like an Advil. An Advil is an anti-inflammatory drug, and so this is a high potent anti-inflammatory drug that they're putting in that particular area, and it does help the pain settle down. So I did have that done several times in the past, about 3 times at the Ottawa Pain Center at the Montfort Hospital in Ottawa, and also at the Civic Hospital. So I've had cortisone shots, and they do help. However, the thing about cortisone shots, it's temporary. A cortisone shot is only to help you get stronger so you don't have more pain. They only last for a short while. So if you take the cortisone and say, I have relief, I'm not going to do anything. No, you need to, during that time of relief, build your muscles stronger, get stronger, try to get better, because the cortisone is temporary. It can last a week, it can last a month, sometimes it can last 6 months or more, but in my case, it would only be about a week or 2 and the pain is right back. So cortisone is temporary, and you can only have so much because cortisone is a foreign product that they're putting into your body. It's safe, but not too much. If you have too much, it can cause long-term problems. So you want to be careful how much cortisone you do have, and your doctor should be advising you on when and how to have cortisone. So that was another treatment that I had, and I'll be coming up soon with some more. Hang in there. So one of the absolute best things to do is to move. When you're in pain, the more you move, the better it'll be in the long run. And I am a strong believer in physiotherapy. I've been having physiotherapy sessions since the beginning of my pain adventure. I first did Ottawa Life Therapies. I had excellent therapists up there. There's one lady in particular, she knows who she is. She's fantastic. She treated me with her magic fingers, and she made my life a whole lot better. I got stronger, and I was able to get back to life somewhat pretty well when I still lived up in Ottawa. I continued my physiotherapy here in Toronto after we've moved to Toronto, and I've equally had great physiotherapists here. One has now moved off to Australia. She was fantastic. Another fellow up in Bloor Village, he was really great, and my current physiotherapist is also excellent. Currently, right now, because I just had surgery, I'm not allowed to have any physiotherapy or to do any major exercises. The only thing I'm approved to do is walking. Walking is my only exercise, my only physiotherapy. Physiotherapy is expensive. It is. And if you don't have any healthcare plan that'll help you pay for it, it is expensive. So I know it's not for everyone. I've been very fortunate because I had a good job. I had medical benefits. They're not perfect. It doesn't pay for everything, but I had some help to pay for my physiotherapy. Because in these days, especially here in Toronto, it's incredibly expensive. It's up to $200 for a 1 hour session. So that's a lot of money. And I know that. Not everybody has a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money, but I put that money aside for me because I need it for my pain. Going in the future, I don't think I'll need physiotherapy weekly because it is very expensive. I've been investing a lot in myself to have less pain. And that's the balance. What do you do with your money? Do you use it to buy yourself a new gadget, or do you use it to have less pain? It's not free. Physiotherapy is not free, but definitely it is recommended. They are experts in the field of getting you moving again, strengthening your muscles, especially your core, and relieving your pain. So physiotherapy is a great thing to consider. In line with physiotherapy, I've also tried chiropractic treatments. Do they help? Yes and no. I went to a trial session here in Toronto. I really liked the lady. She is a great chiropractor. However, it's different than physiotherapy. They focus more on the bone structures than on the muscles and the tendons. So did I get pain relief from her treatments? Absolutely. Was she as good as a physiotherapist? I don't think so, but that's just me. Everyone is different. Some people love chiropractic treatments. I was always a little bit afraid of them, and maybe that's why I was holding back. But anyway, it is something you can definitely try, and it is recommended by your doctors to try everything first, physiotherapy or chiropractors. Chiropractic treatment is more about moving and manipulating your bones and your spine so you're not feeling as much pain, and of course, lots of heavy-duty exercises. I loved my chiropractic exercises. I did them faithfully for a year, and yes, they did help. But I believe my physiotherapy set of exercises helped me more. Anyway, physiotherapy or chiropractic treatment is something you could definitely try. Hi again, and then of course there are the medical professionals. Definitely you would like to probably consult some medical professionals to get some help in your pain journey. Pain to surgery, hopefully you don't have to have surgery, but maybe you do. But definitely your pain journey, you want to be consulting professionals. Talk to your family doctor or talk to your medical practitioner, whoever you're seeing, could be a nurse practitioner, to try to get in to see a sports physio doctor. They can definitely help you with certain pain, especially pain injections. I saw a great sports physio doctor here in Toronto, excellent fella. And what he would do is, because my hips were also painful, it was sciatic pain, but because the pain would radiate down my sciatic nerves into my hips and my calves and my legs, my hamstrings and my thighs, I would get cortisone shots into my hips, and that would help a lot. And I also tried something called hyaluronic acid, I think it's called. I'm not 100% sure because I just made a quick note here. And that was something that, it depends. Talk about that one with your doctor, but I had cortisone shots as a sports physio doctor. Another excellent thing to try is, if you're in pain for a long period of time, don't just sit back home and suffer in silence. Get out there and try to find a pain specialist. I went to the pain clinic here in Toronto often, and I met an excellent doctor who specializes in pain, and he would try different treatments, and they would work. Unfortunately, in my case, they'd only give me temporary relief. Again, he's tried several different types of cortisone shots right into my spine, all along my spinal column. He's tried nerve blocks. Those help, but they're temporary. All of these are temporary. And I also tried something called PRP. PRP is platelet, let me see, I forget what I'm calling it now. PRP. Platelet-rich plasma. So basically what's done is, especially if you're having pain in your hips, you can even do it in your lower back, but it's using your own blood to help heal you. So what they do is they withdraw blood from your arm, and they spin it very, very, very fast, and it separates the blood from the platelets. Our blood is made up of white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. So when they spin it very fast in a centrifuge, I think it's called, they separate the platelets and the blood cells. So they discard the blood cells, but they keep the platelets. And what the doctor does, the pain specialist, he'll inject those blood cells back into your body where you're having the pain. And our platelets are amazing. Our own platelets from our blood give us pain relief, because that's what they do in our body normally. They help gel the blood back together, and they also help pain. Whenever you're inflamed, the platelets rush there and give you pain relief. So when you give a painful part of your body an injection of your own platelets, the body says, oh, healing time, healing time. So it sends all of the energy that the body needs to that particular area to relieve the pain. So I had a PRP injection in my hips, and it did help. It gave me about 6 months of relief. So it's something you can consider. It's your own blood, so you're not taking anything else. It's the platelets from your own blood. You're not taking anything else, any drug or whatever. It's a little expensive though. It's not covered by OHIP or your Quebec or wherever you might be insurance. I, again, invested in myself trying to find pain relief, so I paid for it, and it's something you could try, PRP. So this pain specialist though, he's tried nerve block injections. He's tried what do I call it? Cortisone injections into my SI joints in my spine, my L5 nerve root, and he's also tried some different manipulations and so on. So again, pain specialists, it's worth a try. They can sometimes give you a lot of pain relief for months, maybe even years. But in my case, it would last for a short time, and then the pain would come back, because my spine was so severely damaged at the bottom. So nothing would really, really bring me out. But you have to try it before surgery. So again, something else to consider. I'll be right back. Hey folks, so the last little bit for today that I want to discuss is, I know moving with pain is dreadful. Believe me, I know that. I've been having pain all over the years, but especially since 2016, 2017. So that's a long time. It's nearly 10 years of pain. And life was dreadful. It was so bad, especially in 2022, I believe it was, that I said, if this is what life is about, it's just nothing but pain and not being able to move, I don't know if I want it in my life. Crazy thing to think about, but you know what? It can bring you down. You want to try to stay positive, even though it's hard because you're hurt like hell, but you got to try to stay positive. I almost came to the point of wanting to swallow my whole bottle of pills, and I'm serious. It's not an easy place. It's not a fun place to be. Thankfully, at that same moment when I was going through that really dark and dismal time where I felt completely abandoned by the world, and all I was a lump of meat in a bed that was aching in pain, I finally got to meet a neurosurgeon. And that's when they approved me for surgery, and I had hope. And there's always hope. So don't give up. There's hope. Pain is not fun, but it is a long journey. And the more pain you have, just offer it away and try to find a way forward for yourself. And if you need any support, you can always reach out to me, because I've been through it. I'm willing to help you out if you need my help. So where was I going with this? So basically, it's a long journey, and you want to sort of get to a point where you're going to be better. I'm getting there. I've now had my surgery, and I'm quite thrilled that I've had my surgery. It went very well. I'm very happy to be on the other side of surgery. It's 14 days since I've been at St. Mike's Hospital when I had my TLIF surgery, my transformal interbody something surgery. I don't know by heart. I'm not a doctor. But anyway, and I'm on the other side, and I'm healing. So now all I have to do is wait for my back to fuse together, my fusion to take place, 6 months to a year, and I'll get my life back. I'm feeling so much better. I'm so grateful. Anyway, I want to share my journey with you, and I'll continue sharing my journey with you in these in my video blog here that I'm creating, so that you can follow along with me and hopefully find solutions for your own challenges. I hope you never have to be faced with back pain. Be careful, careful, careful. We only have one back, one spine. Look after it. We're lucky in some cases where we have 2 kidneys or 2 lungs or what have you. But I mean, we only have one spine, and when it's damaged and it hurts all the time, it's not a lot of fun. No one wants to live in pain. Pain isn't fun at all. I'm hoping for you, if you're on the same journey or a similar journey, that you will find some relief, because it is really, really magic when you find relief. Again, I'll be sharing again in my video blog probably in a week or so or two. I'm not going to be posting them as often because now I'm recovering really well. As you can see, I'm doing well. So I just want to, let everyone know that I'm out there for you, and hopefully you're finding these videos helpful, and I want to wish you all a very good day. Again, here, Rick Goatsey, the author of Little Ricky, the Boy from Outer Lake, Little Ricky, the Lad from Outer Lake, Adolescent Adventures, and the new stories that are in my last new current collection, Little Ricky, the Young Man from Outer Lake. I have 3 stories for the new collection already published. I have sequels to the first collection already published. I'm happy that they're out there. And I am now currently thinking of the 5th story. My 4th story is ready to be published. I'll be working at that as I recover slowly. Can't do as much as I used to because it's just too painful to stay sitting for a long period of time. But I want to bring those stories out to you. I, again, am an author. I'm using my talent that I have as an author to write stories. My fans tell me they like my stories. I hope they do and find them interesting. Am I the best author in the world? Absolutely not. But I do my very best, because what I like to do, and this is part of my pain journey too, what I like to do is to use what talent I have to forget about pain. When I'm busy writing stories and helping the poor, I don't feel as much pain because my mind is occupied. And if you keep your mind occupied, you're not going to feel as much pain too. So I found writing really helped me to get through a lot of my pain. And the joy of having somebody buy one of my books, and the joy brings me pain relief when somebody gives me a comment and saying, way to go, that's a great story, I really enjoyed that. I sell my books to support charity. I give every penny, every cent, every dollar I make to support a local food bank. The people are lined up in the streets. The times are so tough for everyone, and people are hungry. I see them lining up. They're waiting just for a can of soup or something to eat. I'm so fortunate that I have a pension. I worked all my life and I have a pension, so I'm fortunate. I'm not rich. No, by no means am I rich, but I have a pension to be able to support myself and buy enough food to eat and be comfortable. All I want to do is to use my talent then to give back to the others who do not have that same opportunity. So if you can afford a small little bit of money, and you like to read, and you like cute, funky little stories, look up Little Ricky. Little Ricky, the Boy from Outer Lake, Little Ricky, the Lad from Outer Lake, and Little Ricky, the Young Man from Outer Lake stories are very engaging, loving. They're about learning, love, forgiveness, compassion. It's the journey of a young character called Little Ricky who goes through life experiencing different life adventures and trials and tribulations, and how he handles things to bring he and his friends to the next level of being happy in life. Anyway, hopefully you will look me up and consider buying one of my stories. Really, collections are like $15, $16, and you get 12 stories, or you could buy each story individually for $6. You can build your own collection. Who doesn't have $6 today? I know it's tough. Everyone is tough trying to make ends meet, but if you can, consider buying a book for $6. That money that you spend on my books, hopefully you'll enjoy the story, will be going to help somebody poorer than you are that has to go to the food bank. Because if they have to go to the food bank, they don't have $6. They don't have $6 to spend on a book. They don't have $6 to spend on food. And that's why I'm trying to help them to have a better life. Anyway, take care, everyone. Next video coming up in a few weeks. Take care. Bye.